Here in the United Kingdom, we are raised to believe one simple thing: debt is the enemy. Pay it down, kill the mortgage, be free. And for most of your life, that instinct is completely correct. But in 2026, there is a specific age where overpaying your mortgage stops setting you free and quietly starts making you poorer. Past this point, throwing extra money at your home loan is like pouring fuel onto a fire that has already gone out. There is a precise mathematical crossover point where your pound is worth more out there working in the market than it is buried in your bricks. Today, we find the exact age that pound changes sides. To find your crossover point, you only need 3 numbers. We call it the rule of 3. Number 1, your mortgage interest rate. This is the guaranteed, risk-free return you get from overpaying. If your rate is 5%, every pound you overpay effectively earns you 5%, tax-free. Number 2, your marginal tax rate. This is where most people leave money on the table. 20% for a basic rate taxpayer, 40% for a higher rate taxpayer, and 45% for an additional rate taxpayer. Number 3, the expected return of a broad market index fund, which historically sits somewhere between 7 and 9% per year over the long run. Hold these 3 numbers in your head, because the gap between them decides everything. And notice the trick most homeowners miss. Your marginal tax rate does not touch your mortgage at all, but it supercharges everything you put into a pension. That single asymmetry is what quietly flips the whole equation on its head after a certain age. But before we talk about the market, we have to talk about the trap built into your mortgage itself, the early repayment charge, or ERC. Most fixed-rate deals let you overpay only 10% of your outstanding balance each year without penalty. Go £1 over that 10% limit, and the lender can hit you with an early repayment charge, often starting at 5% of the amount and tapering down to 1% in the final year of your fixed term. So, on a balance of £200,000, your penalty-free overpayment ceiling is just £20,000 a year. These ERCs are the siphon. The system quietly limits how fast you're allowed to escape, and it punishes you if you try to move faster. Now, think of your mortgage as a giant iron flywheel. For years, you have been pushing it. Every overpayment, a hard shove against the wheel. In the early years, when the wheel is barely turning, every single push matters enormously. You feel it accelerate. But here is what nobody tells you. As the years pass and the balance shrinks, that wheel builds tremendous momentum. Now, when you shove it, almost nothing visible happens. The wheel is already spinning near its top speed. You are exhausting yourself for a change you can barely measure. The smart move is not to keep pushing the wheel that's already flying. It is to take that same energy and start a second wheel spinning, your stocks and shares ISA. And this brings us to the heart of the video, the age of diminishing returns. For most Brits, our modelling lands on age 48. Here is why. Overpaying is powerful only when you have decades for the interest saving to compound. At age 30, an overpayment works for you for more than 30 years. But past your late 40s, 2 things happen at once. Your mortgage balance is smaller, so the interest saved is smaller, and your time horizon is shorter, so the compounding has less room to run. Meanwhile, the alternative gets stronger. Picture a higher rate taxpayer at age 50 with £50,000 spare. Option 1. Overpay the mortgage. That £50,000 simply wipes out £50,000 of debt. Clean, but that is all it does. Option 2. Put that same £50,000 into a SIPP, a self-invested personal pension. Because of 40% tax relief, that £50,000 grosses up to £62,500 working inside the pension, and you can reclaim a further £12,500 from HMRC through your self-assessment. So the same money that would have erased £50,000 of debt has instead put £62,500 to work in the market and handed you £12,500 back in cash. For larger sums, carry forward of your unused annual allowance from the previous 3 tax years keeps this well inside the rules. The overpayment simply cannot compete. Now, let us be honest about 2026. We are living in what I call the 5% world. After years of rock-bottom rates, the typical fixed mortgage now sits around 5%, and that changes the maths. When your mortgage was 2%, and the market returned 7, the gap was 5 whole percentage points. In the market's favor, an easy decision. But if your mortgage is at 5% and your ISA is compounding at 7%, the gap is only 2%. 2%. That is real, but it is thin. And here is the question that thin gap forces you to ask. Is 2% a year worth locking your money inside your walls, where you cannot touch it without remortgaging? For some, the answer is yes. For many past 48, the honest answer is no, because what you are really buying with an overpayment isn't just a return. It is the loss of liquidity. Every pound you overpay is a pound you can never call back without a lender's permission. It looks like progress on paper, but it is a one-way door, and in your 50s, the value of being able to change your mind only goes up. Let me give you a second picture. Braking distance. Repaying a mortgage is like braking a train coming into a station where the station is your retirement. If you are still a mile out, traveling at full speed, then yes, you need to brake hard and brake early. Overpay aggressively. But if you have already slowed right down, if you are just gently crawling the final few yards to the platform, then slamming on the brakes does nothing useful. The train was always going to arrive. All you have done is jolt the passengers, and the passengers are your lifestyle, your holidays, your cash flow, your peace of mind. Braking hard, when you are already crawling, does not get you there any sooner. It just makes the journey miserable for no reason at all. So if you stop overpaying, where does the money actually go? This is the most powerful idea in this entire video. The Stocks and Shares ISA has a shadow mortgage repayment fund. Instead of firing money into your mortgage, where it vanishes into equity you cannot spend, you channel it, up to £20,000 a year, completely tax-free, into an ISA that shadows your remaining balance. You let it grow quietly alongside the debt. And then, one day, when that fund is large enough to clear the mortgage, in a single stroke, you have a choice you never had before. You can pay off the entire mortgage in one afternoon if you want to. Or you can look at your 5% mortgage, look at your 7% ISA, and decide to simply keep the difference. The debt hasn't trapped you. You have surrounded it. And unlike the SIPP, the ISA stays fully liquid. There is no waiting for the pension access age, which is rising to 57 in 2028. It is liquid pounds sterling, yours whenever you need it. Which brings us to the final lesson, and it is the one that separates the merely comfortable from the genuinely wealthy. Liquidity versus equity. Walk into any room of 60-year-old Britons, and here is what you will find. The wealthiest among them are almost never the ones with the smallest mortgage. They are the ones with the most choice. Equity in your home is real, but it is frozen. You cannot spend a kitchen wall in an emergency, and prizing that money back out means remortgaging at the mercy of your LTV and your lender's criteria. Liquidity, money you can actually reach, is what gives you options. The option to retire early, to help your children, to ride out a crisis, to simply say no. Overpaying your mortgage in your 50s feels responsible, and for years it genuinely was. But past your cross over age, it quietly trades away the one thing that actually makes you free. So find your 3 numbers, find your gap, and if you are past 48 in this 5% world, ask yourself the only question that really matters. Am I buying freedom, or am I just buying a smaller number on a statement I will never miss? Because at age 60, it was never really about the debt. It was always about the choice. If this video helped you, make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.